Hi guys, this is a quick test of the new YouTube 60 frames a second thing. Apparently they have now opened up 60 frames a second for everyone. And of course that means I can now record
over the years, even without cars or factories. It don't be long.
Wait here. And yeah, so I can now upload at 60 frames a second, I believe. I'm just testing it to see A, if it's working, and B, if it's worth it. It is almost certainly worth it. More if it's working. The thing is I will need to start recording in 60 frames a second now. So obviously the file sizes will be pretty much the same because I'm recording at maximum bit rate. Technically it means each frame will have slightly less bits, which could mean theoretically a slight drop in clarity, but in actual fact it usually doesn't work that way. Because of the way compression works and the fact that you're recording more frames, the difference between frames is actually less pronounced, and therefore the quality is improved. There are some people who think recording in 60 frames a second at the same bitrate actually gives higher quality, and that may actually be true. So obviously I'll be checking that as well. And of course I'm going to check out a game that actually is a little faster. He says, spending time picking locks. Yeah, this is Payday 2. For those of you who don't know, I play this a lot on my streams, and you can actually see a lot of the videos I've recorded on the streaming channel, Gopher Live. This is probably one that's going to be more noticeable, he says, panning around. At least from the 60 frames a second thing. Any more cops? Any more cops? Hello. One more. Oh yeah, he's in the security room. So yes. Okay. Yeah, there'll be a lot more combat in this game than in Fallout New Vegas, so it'll probably be a little easier to see the 60 frames a second advantage. Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm annoying anyone by running around the middle of the street like a loony. I'm just trying to get the police to arrive. Okay. It does feel pretty smooth. I'm looking not only at my screen, I'm actually looking at the recording as it happens, and it looks pretty. It's kind of weird to be looking at another screen, especially one that's actually a tiny bit delayed. And of course, Skyrim. Let's see what this looks like at 60 frames a second on YouTube. It's hard for me to actually guess because the YouTube videos always look slightly different to the way I see it anyway. But I am guessing it will feel a lot nicer. This does actually bring up another subject while I'm testing this. I'll run by you. And that is the subject of 4K videos. Now, I currently record 1920. That's what I play in, and that is what the recording device that I have maxes out at. 1080p at 60 frames a second. So, just concentrating on trying to make my camera work smooth. So, obviously, if I started recording in 4K, it's higher quality. Now, a lot of you will be thinking, well, I don't care, I only watch in 1080p. And actually, that's not true. Well, it's true that you're watching in 1080p, and it might even be true that you don't care, but you should, is what I'm getting at. The thing is you could actually watch 4K videos on a 1080p monitor, and it will look better in YouTube. And the reason for that is it just gets streamed at a higher bit rate. So if you've got the internet connection to handle it, those videos, 4K videos, will look superior a lot more by watching it in the 4K option. So it's definitely an option for me to do that. And of course there are people who watch on 4K monitors, so they would obviously appreciate it as well. The downsides to that are I can't record it with my current setup. I would have to record using software, probably. Well, Shadowplay is the more obvious choice, but it still hasn't fixed the issue with the microphones being recorded to the same channel as the game sound, which is pretty much a deal breaker for me. The other option is Bandicam. Bandicam will actually record 60 frames a second, and there's also not Fraps, DxTorry. Although DxTorry doesn't work for Skyrim, that isn't much of an issue at the moment because I'm not playing Skyrim. But I would have to record using a program such as that, and of course I do take a bit of a performance hit when doing that. And of course, playing in 4K, the performance is going to drop anyway. So I would have to upgrade my system. I'm almost sure I'd have to upgrade my system. And that would probably be for the best anyway, because what I would need to do is buy a completely new gaming rig. Probably something like two 980s in SLI, new CPU and so on, and probably some big SSD, terabyte size. I would then actually use my current gaming rig as a render rig, and the reason that would be an advantage is my current render rig is okay. It is my old gaming rig, but it takes about 2 hours to render, 3 hours to render a 1 hour video. But that's a 1080p video at 30 frames a second. If I start rendering 4K videos at 60 frames a second, I'm probably going to be choosing bit rates that are at least double what I'm currently using. So the file size is going to take twice as long to upload to YouTube. And combat. That might be an idea to test the frame rate. Oh, I don't have a shield. Why don't I have a shield? Here we go! The return of the adventures of Richard, the running away. Oh, I tell you why, because I was messing around with my... Oh god, I was messing around with my settings, and... Give me a sec. Okay, that's better. I don't want to die, but I don't want to get him killed. Oh, there's bandits as well, they'll join in the fight, that's okay. I just want to see combat at 60 frames a second on the video. Ooh, it's been such a long time since I've done Unrelenting Force. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so not only will the file sizes be much bigger, the render time will be probably 3 times longer. That's my... I'm hacking a corpse. Really, did I kill him with that fall? Will be about 3 times longer, because the codec I will have to use for 4K is not as efficient as the codec I use for 1080p. And obviously that's an issue. So a more powerful machine will be required for rendering. And because I still have my old render machine, I can probably still use that to render second videos, which could be an advantage, seeing as it takes so much longer. Yeah, I know, I'm completely babbling now, aren't I? Yeah, so there you go. I am thinking about upgrading to 4K. It will require some upgrades, I think. At least it will require some upgrades if I want to keep the quality as high as I'm used to keeping it. So, because if I'm doing 4K and I'm doing 60 frames a second, I am going to want to focus on quality. It's a bit odd. So yeah, sorry if I'm sounding a bit distracted, but I'm talking about 4K recording at the same time as trying to demonstrate 60 frames a second and get good shots for it for the YouTube video. I probably should have done 2 completely separate videos, shouldn't I? One for 60 frames, one for... Whose horse is that? There's a random horse out here. that's picking a fight with a skeleton. I forgot how much this game confuses me at times. So yes, anyway, there you go. This has been a 60 frames a second test with random babble. You're welcome.